Hey guys, what's up? So I honestly thought I was done. 3 videos seemed like more than enough and plenty of time went into those, and thank you all for watching. But I'm not done. I'm not done because I was sitting down tonight to have a nice bowl of ramen noodles, watch some YouTube like a degenerate, and then eventually fall asleep. And I come across a video by Mundane Matt. And if you haven't watched the Mundane Matt video about Maddox and Dick's lawsuit, I suggest. I want to say I suggest doing it for thoroughness. That's what I was doing. I'd heard that he's on Maddox's side, and I wanted to get kind of the other perspective. Excuse me just a moment. So when I said I was done, I meant it. I'm not prepared to record a video tonight, but this just bothered me so much. So I'm watching Mundane Matt's video, and I guess go ahead and watch it if you want. Listen. Let's get something clear here. I am biased towards Dick Masterson. Obviously, I've been a Patreon subscriber to Dick for a long time. Listen to the show. I liked him more on Biggest Problem. I originally came because Maddox was doing a show, and quickly thought that Dick was the better entertainer on The Biggest Problem. And then, after the breakup, I stuck with Dick. I listened to Maddox's Best Debate show, and whew, it's just a flaming pile of trash. So I'm biased towards Dick. And what you should do is listen to the Mundane Matt video or watch it or whatever if you want to bias towards ignorance. I won't call Mundane Matt biased towards Maddox. I can't state that specifically, but his position is biased towards someone who has no idea what's going on factually. Along, with the story, at least from Dick's perspective, and he certainly doesn't have an appropriate legal position at all. And he says some brilliant lines like, well, Maddox wouldn't have brought this suit if he didn't have the proper evidence, as he's sitting looking at the document that is devoid of evidence, even though, there are clips and screen caps in the document, as I covered. But he suggests, I'm pretty sure he can't zoom in to look at them. I don't know, because if you just have an Adobe Reader, you could zoom on the PDF. But assuming he can't zoom in, let me help you out, Matt. He provides evidence. It's just not good, and it doesn't implicate Dick. It implicates some of his fans in doing some things that people don't like. But the allegation is not that Dick's fans are mean. It's that Dick directed his fans to be mean. And to be mean to a point that it crossed the lines into illegality. And he has the opportunity to provide any evidence of this, and he doesn't. He just doesn't. And if you just zoom in on the document and read the stuff, you'll notice that Dick's name is barely attached to anything in there, and the stuff it's attached to, none of it is a directive to actually go out, stalk, harass, or intimidate Maddox or his girlfriend. So let me just say that Mundane Matt's video is an homage to ignorance. But I want to cover something that as I'm sitting here listening and watching sort of this video and eating my ramen, Mundane Matt started reading through very select portions of the complaint, and the parts you pick are weird, man. Okay, I know you needed to cut and you didn't want to do 4 hours of stupidity like I did. That's fine, but the parts you picked are really weird. But anyway, so he gets to the section on Harry's, right? That Maddox lost revenue from Harry's, and he's talking about how much revenue Maddox was getting from Harry's. And I was thinking to myself, man, Maddox's show was such a flaming pile of garbage, I can't believe he had 40,000 fans. And I get it, his fans go up and down, and I'm sure some of his downloads, due to him being Maddox, are still pretty high. But then I remembered something. There's an accusation out there There's an accusation out there, and let me be clear. What I'm about to tell you is pretty serious on a legal front, but it's not something that directly benefits the Dick Show or any of the accused in this document. So I'm not like providing legal advice or representation to them, even if they watched this video and decided to look into it. What they're going to find is stuff they already know and are probably already researching. The other thing that would happen is if what I say is true, which I believe it to be, but I'm not a California lawyer, so I'm not 100% sure. But if what I say is true and the facts alleged are true, then Dick's team gets no legal or monetary benefit from this. However, let's just get into this. Maddox accuses some of the defendants of unfair trade practices, and I was thinking about this Harry's section and how many downloads Maddox is claiming, and I remembered this allegation that when the biggest problem in the universe ended, that Maddox took the RSS feed and just renamed it to the biggest debate in the universe. And this is demonstrable because there are reviews on the biggest debate for the biggest problem. Like those reviews just carried over. They pre-existed the biggest debate show, indicating that Maddox took the RSS feed and just shifted it towards his show. This is a jerk move, right? Because you have a partnership in this podcast, presumably. And by the way, before like we get into the bits of this, everything I can tell indicates that Dick and Maddox didn't have a formal operating agreement in place. I mean, maybe they did, but we haven't ever been provided any of that from anybody. But we do know that they both contributed to the show. They both contributed to the website in various degrees, and they, had at one point or another alternated through some of the financial aspects of management. That indicates just a default business partnership, which defaults to 50-50 ownership, 50-50 ownership of the intellectual property, 50-50 ownership of the revenue. I know Maddox in his complaint tries to allege that he created the show and invited Dick and it was a great opportunity. And even if that's accurate, which I think we know that it's only part of the story, right? But even if that's accurate, it still presumes a 50-50 ownership because you're in a joint business venture and you don't have an operating agreement saying otherwise. It defaults to a 50-50 arrangement. So, at the end of the biggest problem, that means that Dick and Maddox both own half of everything. They own half of whatever's there. So for Maddox to take the feed, he's effectively converting, right? Conversion, Maddox? Do you remember conversion from your complaint? You're converting Dick's ownership of whatever that feed is worth. And we know that the downloads generated on that feed and the listens on stuff like SoundCloud and Spotify have some at least nominal monetary value attached to them. So you're literally converting his property right in his half of the feed, which is a jerk move. Maybe you don't want to litigate it because it gets really expensive. But here's the interesting thing, Maddox. What you allege with Harry's, you talk about how Harry's is paying you $45 per 1,000 downloads. And that amounts to like $7,200 a month, which is a lot. That's a lot of ad money for your show, which, again, like I can't believe Harry's is paying you. It seems like a bad business decision to pay you that much. But if Maddox converted the feed from the biggest problem to the biggest debate, and he just kept the subscribership and therefore the automatic downloads in place for his new show, and Harry's is a sponsor during the time of this transition, then what happened, possibly, is that Harry's was defrauded out of a ton of downloads that didn't actually receive the exposure. Because I know for me, I believe I was subscribed on through the Google Podcast app, and I'm not sure if those downloads are affected by the by the RSS feed. I don't, I'm not going to claim technical expertise on that, but I know just from my own experience, I was subscribed to Biggest Problem through the Google Play app, Google Podcasts app, and then as the transition took place, I was subscribed to Biggest Debate in the same way, and I quickly deleted that because I think I listened to one show and thought it was garbage, and I think I listened to a couple more shows later, and not like as they came out. This is not hot drops of the press. This was, Maddox's show can't be that bad, but then it was. So anyway, there are lots of people, presumably, who were subscribed to the show, but there was no actual exposure because they didn't listen. They were just subscribed to the Biggest Problem, and you took them with you. That's fraud against Harry's, because Harry's is paying for downloads with the assumption that those downloads are going to represent exposure. But if you've got people not listening to your show because you're stealing the downloads of someone else's show, yours and someone else, you have a legal business entity, that's another person separate from you, you're stealing that business entity's downloads and representing them as your own. But they're not your own because the people might not actually listen. So you're misrepresenting your product. And I've got the California Business Code, a couple of select sections pulled up. So California Business and Professional Code, section 17,500. False or misleading statements generally. And I'm gonna lawyer edit some of this to get the meat of it, because there's like 150 words in this stupid statute. So real quick. False or misleading statements generally. It is unlawful for any person, firm, corporation, or association, or any employee thereof, with intent directly or indirectly, to dispose of real property or personal property, or to perform services, professional or otherwise, or anything of any nature whatsoever, to induce the public to enter into any obligation relating thereto, to make or disseminate, or cause to be made or disseminated before the public in this state, or to make or disseminate or cause to be made or disseminated from this state before the public in any state, in any newspaper or other publication, or any advertising device, or by public outcry or proclamation, or in any manner or means whatsoever, including over the internet. Any statement concerning that real or personal property or those services, blah, 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 which is untrue or misleading, and which is known, or which by the exercise of reasonable care should be known to be untrue or misleading, or for any person, firm, corporation, to so make or disseminate or cause to be made or disseminated, blah, 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 as part of a plan or scheme with the intent not to sell that property to those or those services, professional or otherwise. Any violation of the provisions of this section is a misdemeanor punishable by imprisonment in the county jail not exceeding 6 months, or by a fine not exceeding $2,500, or by both that imprisonment and fine. Now, Maddox, did you induce the public to consume a product that wasn't the product that they were promised or that they had signed up for? And did you do it knowingly? So did you change the feed from the Biggest Problem to the Biggest Debate knowingly? And if you did that, you are in violation of California Business and Professional Code section 17,500. You made a false or misleading statement. And this statute, I just read you most of it, is absurdly broad. Like any state over the internet, any statement concerning real or personal property or services, professional or otherwise. Non-professional services like creating content, creative content for consumption, and having people subscribe to it. And then here's the kicker. Like, you're getting paid for those subscriptions. So not only are you defrauding people with your false or misleading statements, but you're benefiting economically from the fraud. That's bad, buddy. That's bad. Let's see. How about California Business and Professional Code section 17505, misrepresentations as to nature of business. No person shall state in an advertisement of his goods that he is a producer, manufacturer, processor, wholesaler, or importer, or that he owns or controls a factory or other source of supply of goods when such is not the fact, and no person shall in any other manner misrepresent the character, extent, volume, or type of his business. Maddox, you are a content creator, and you're misrepresenting the volume of the content that's being consumed to advertisers. Looks like a misrepresentation as to nature of business. I don't know. I'm not a California attorney. I'm not a California resident. I really feel bad for Harry's, because it looks like... And the best part is that in bringing the lawsuit under your sworn statement in your complaint, like you're alleging factual things, and the allegation is that Harry's is paying you $45 per 1,000 clicks. They're your longest show subscriber. I don't know all of the facts, but based on what you have said, and if the allegation is true that you switched the feed from Biggest Problem to Biggest Debate, which that allegation appears to be true from the outside, okay? I don't know. But I think, like any discovery request from the Attorney General's Office of California that you comply with is going to show that you did, in fact, switch the feed. And I think some other people might have access to that information. Some people that you're suing right now. And it's interesting because, like, you're alleging this in a sworn statement, again, possibly incriminating yourself in criminal activity in California. And to be fair, you may also be doing that criminal activity in New York, but the locus of your show is in California. That's where it's presumably organized in whatever fashion you have it organized, which means that you have likely admitted to a crime. So that's a good move. And by the way, like, I doubt Mundane Matt will ever watch this video. And to be fair, I've never heard of Mundane Matt before this. I know nothing about you, pal. Your show could be great. I know nothing about it. All I know is that your episode on this lawsuit is uninformed. It's biased towards ignorance, and I don't think it's maliciously so. But your legal opinions are really incorrect. And you make a lot of assumptions about the document that you're presumably looking at. I mean, like, you're scrolling through it in the video, and those assumptions are flatly wrong. Like, it's a poorly drafted text, and you don't need to be a lawyer to look at that and say, this is poorly drafted. Maybe I should look into any of the stuff. But, you know, that's okay. Like, this is a hobby of mine, and it's in my sort of area of at least somewhat expertise. So like, things pop out a little bit to me, that might not to you. So I would seriously revisit your opinion on this lawsuit, because what you kind of say at the beginning of your video is something like, you know, I haven't really researched this, but I come out on the side of Maddox because of how this looks. But I want you to carefully, you encourage your fans to go through and read the document. I want you to go back and reread it and look at all the little thumbnail clips that Maddox or his attorney or whatever fourth grader wrote that thing puts in there. I want you to look at them really closely and notice that Dick isn't doing what Maddox is accusing him of doing. And the real kicker is that that's Maddox's opportunity to shine. Like, this is your best case, your complaint. This is, the other guy did this, and it's the worst thing you can imagine, and I want the court to give me $20 million, and look at the garbage he puts in there. He can't get Dick's name on a single thing. Dick has hundreds of hours of recorded conversations where he has a one-sided conversation with his audience. And Maddox alleges that in these conversations that he has encouraged people to go out and commit these acts against Maddox. And he doesn't provide one citation to the show. Not one episode drop, not one... I mean, were I writing the complaint, it would have the exact minute and second timestamp from the show with the episode number, the date it aired, the date the live stream occurred. I would try and find out the minute and timestamp from the live stream as well. And I would slap that thing everywhere. I would have transcripts and audio recordings included with the complaint, this would be this is your chance to make a slam dunk case that you can win without going to trial. That's your complaint. And he doesn't do it. Why? Because he doesn't have the evidence. And you can tell that because all you have to do is look at it and you can see that it's not there. So I hope this video finds its way to you, Mundane Matt. Keep doing what you're doing, pal. But your analysis on this one is broke. And I just wanted... I didn't want to keep commenting on this. I'm going to wrap this video up because the other ones are so long. But Maddox may have actually implicated himself in a crime again in his complaint. And I think that's 3 crimes that he's potentially admitted to in this complaint. So, good luck everybody in this lawsuit that is not on Maddox's side. Not good luck to them because this looks like a frivolous lawsuit. It looks like they're trying to suppress Dick's right to free speech. And it looks like they're grossly misrepresenting the facts. And by one closing thing. I'm pretty sure I said this in the other videos, but I don't remember all of them for good reason. When you mislead a judge in your complaint document and the judge finds out that you misled them, it's kind of ugly in court. So when Dick's legal team starts showing everything that really happened, especially that pesky billboard that you keep raising up. Mundane Matt, by the way, that billboard that you keep going back to and that Maddox keeps going back to, it never occurred. Never materialized, never happened. There's no billboard. And the billboard was in California and the lawsuit's in New York. But there's no billboard. Didn't happen. Maddox is misleading the judge by stating that there's a campaign to raise up a billboard. Because there's no billboard. So, and by wording it the way he does and leaving it vague, the inference is that the billboard occurred and the harassment occurred. But it didn't. So that's going to be a problem. So again, Mr. Mundane Matt, you should research this a little more, and I would suggest revising your video. I think you're on the wrong side of this entirely, but you can come at it probably a little more neutral than I can, just based on the fact that your bias seems to stem from your lack of information, not from your general preference for one person over the other. Although you may have that, it doesn't seem to come through. But anyway, I hope this video is helpful to someone out there, maybe in the state of California, who wants to talk to the Attorney General and let them know that Madcast Media appears to have defrauded the good people of California and the United States who happen to listen to the show, and most importantly, looks to have defrauded Harry's. And, yeah. So, good job, Maddox. Keep it up, buddy.